This isn't the craziest book talk controversy I've ever covered, but this is one of the most confusing to me. Hey, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. My name is D. I like to talk about stuff that I watch, stuff that I read, stuff that I'm thinking about, and today I want to talk about Annie Ann and the curious case of Kyle Cotton. But before we get into all of that, I want to give a quick shout out to my Plus Ultra Don't Fretters, my top tier supporters on Patreon, JJ Valdez and Peggy Lou Who. Thank you so much for your support. You're helping to ensure that I'm able to keep creating content and put it out as frequently as my depression and burnout will allow. Patreon.com/DFretter if you want to help support the channel, join my private Discord server, and get some bonus content. If you sign up as a free member, you get access to my monthly newsletter checking in, and that's also where I post polls about video topics I might cover on this channel. Ko-fi.com/DFretter if you want to support the channel one time but you don't want another monthly subscription to manage. Or you could just like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Okay, so I don't think this video is going to be super long. If you want a more in-depth play-by-play background, I recommend Susanna Friesen's video on the same topic. I'll link it down below. But it all started with this video.
Hey, Stephen Craig. I asked you a question yesterday. Why don't you tell the people what your answer was? I said, babe, if you woke up tomorrow and it was January 1st of 2019, but you had all of your memories still here up until 2026, what would you do? What was your fucking answer?
I would convince you I'm from the future.
And? No, tell them the other things you said. Do you remember?
I would go down, find you, and then just randomly come up to you and just be like, hey, I know you're with a loser right now. Trust me, it gets better. And here's a grape jelly rancher sucker. I made these just for you. Those are her favorite. And I would just keep randomly showing up and just doing things that she absolutely loves, not introducing myself, and then just disappearing.
Women, girls, ladies, y'all know how much that would fuck you up to be like, this guy just keeps showing up and gifting me all my favorite thing. You would be like, am I fucking crazy? And then you're just gone.
Might be.
Now, personally, I think that this sounds about as romantic as the movie Passengers, where it's actually kind of scary. If you haven't seen this movie, they sell it like it's a romance, like it's a love story, because these two people wake up from suspended animation and they're on a spaceship headed to a new Earth, but because they've woken up, they're not going to make it to New Earth. They're just going to die of old age on this thing. But that's not what happens. Chris Pratt wakes up and then he spots Jennifer Lawrence, thinks she's hot, and then wakes her up and basically steals her life because he thought, she was good looking. And her whole character arc is getting Stockholm syndromed into forgiving him. It's kind of a horror movie. And also, wasn't this a subplot in Hot Tub Time Machine? Regardless of genre, it's an interesting premise and people were into it, and somebody commented, I would read the fuck out of this book. Enter our villain, Kyle Cotton. Now, real quick, I don't think that Kyle is a villain, but he is the villain in this story. Also, he kind of looks like one and talks like one. Vampire Night King looking ass boy. So Kyle sees Annie Ann's video with her husband talking about oh, this is a cute idea. This would be a cool story based on our actual relationship, our marriage, whatever. And he's like, what a nice idea. Would be a shame if somebody stole it. I don't actually know what his thought process was. I don't really get how this dude connects dots. He takes that idea and he starts feeding it to ChatGPT, and then he sends the original video to his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's like, oh, actually, I believe that creator is an author. Maybe just let her write that book. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Exactly what you want in a boyfriend. Am I right, ladies? Ladies, aren't you tired of your man just listening to you and respecting you? Why don't you go get yourself a man that disregards everything you say? Eyes so blue it kind of look like he eats souls. I actually don't know if those are contacts or a filter. They might be real. I don't know. I don't care. Okay, but actually this is kind of Kyle's whole problem, right? Is that he doesn't listen to women. And before any book talk bros jump down my throat, that's actually a key distinction that I'm making there. So ChatGPT finishes churning out its slop for Kyle, and he emails that to Annie Ann, and I guess was just like, here you go, I did it for you, you're welcome. And I don't know exactly how much time passed, but Annie Ann posts about it, and she doesn't tag Kyle or mention Kyle. She's just like, yeah, I'm sure the person who did this is gonna see this video, and I'm not gonna read the thing that you did, and I don't know, that's weird. Why would you do that? And I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, why would you do that? And I still don't know why he did that. But anyways, Kyle, who is on the wait list to join Lex Luthor's Legion of Supervillains, decided to reveal himself.
So I saw the video where this comment is from, and I was like, oh my god, that's a great idea for a book. I'm going to send this video to my girlfriend and start writing the book. And that's what I did. I started writing it. My girlfriend saw the video, and she's like, oh, that girl's an author herself. You should let her write it. And I was like, well, I'm already halfway done with the book. I might as well finish it and just send it to her for free. And she can use it if she wants to, since it was her story, her idea. I'm fine with that. I have no problem giving someone something for free. But it's been 10 days, and I think people would love this book. And she hasn't responded to my email. I commented on the video. I sent her a message, whatever. I haven't heard back, and I think people would love to read this book. Go watch the video. Tell me if you would love to read this book. And if you would, I will probably end up posting it for free soon if she doesn't respond back.
He's like, it's been 10 days. If she doesn't respond soon, I'm just going to put out the book for free. I don't get it. I don't know if this is, I'm going off script, but I don't know if this is a bad thing to say. I feel like if he did it for money, that would almost make more sense. Like if he full on stole the idea for profit, I'd be like, now that's the Booktok controversy I know and love. I don't love it, but it's like that makes more sense from what I know about Booktok. And even though Kyle has like stolen this idea and then fed it to the art stealing machine, I think Annie Ann could still write the book if she wants to. Not only will she write a better, more heartfelt and meaningful story than ChatGPT ever could, what with her being a human being with a soul and all, ideas are kind of only part of the creative process, like the beginning of the creative process. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when I teach poetry workshops or creative writing classes, I'll give students prompts, and sometimes they're very specific. So if I have 10 students and I give them all one prompt, I'll still get 10 different poems because execution matters. Annie Ann has a soul, which Kyle wants to consume to increase his power. She'd be drawing on her own lived experience, her own, like falling in love, her own marriage, her relationship. Nobody knows her husband better than her. You know, she's creative. So while Kyle's bizarre behavior absolutely taints this, and I won't pretend it doesn't. I won't be like, I ignore him. She could still write the story, and I hope that she does, and it'll still be uniquely hers. So Kyle's revelation kind of makes this into a thing, because I feel like he hadn't, you know, stepped out of the shadows and done his little monologue or whatever. I feel like people would have been like, oh yeah, that's weird, and just could have kept it pushing. So there's this back and forth between him and Annie Ann and a bunch of other Booktok users chiming in, and they're trying to get Kyle to understand that like generating a book is not the same as writing a book. You know, his main focus seems to be how efficient and fast AI is compared to like actually taking the time to do a thing, because it's way more efficient to not do a thing than to do it. Explain that AI has no place in the arts, it has no place in literature. You know, there are people who actually want to create because they enjoy creating, and it's just not reaching them. I think that's partly because I don't think Kyle is an artist. Like obviously he isn't, because all of his written books are not written, they're generated by ChatGPT. Like he's not doing it himself. Don't think that he like values creativity or values art. I don't think this is somebody who grew up wanting to write a book one day and maybe struggled with it and then sees AI as like a shortcut, because I know those people exist. One commenter says that AI devalues the time, energy, and effort it takes to create. And Kyle just doesn't get it. Like I said before, I just don't think that he understands or values the process. It's something that came up a lot when we were talking about the Milo Winter World of Guardian saga, where there are people like, you have to love the process. And regardless of whatever process we're talking about, because there's different processes for writing a novel versus writing a script or a screenplay versus writing jokes or preparing like a special or something like that, or writing an album or whatever, right? But there's always processes. And I personally don't really buy into like, you need to love the process in the sense that like, the way it's presented on the internet, it's like you have to have these warm, fuzzy, good feelings the entire way through. And I don't think that that's realistic or helpful, but I do think you need to hold respect for the process. And Kyle does not respect that process because it's too slow for him. You know, this is somebody who, much like in the video I did where I was talking a little bit more about AI art art. Kyle seems very focused on the outcome, the results. You know, it's a numbers game, quantity over quality. It's very this stage of capitalism type way of approaching art. Like art to him, I think is more of a commodity. It's just a product. I don't think that he understands that some labor can be a labor of love. Maybe because the undead can't feel love. I don't know. So he starts beefing with this user, and I guess kind of challenges them to a write-off.
I don't think anything that I say is going to change your opinion on this, but what I would say is if you truly believe this, then you wouldn't mind putting one of your current rough drafts up against an AI book.
I'm going to write a book a day for every day it takes you to write a book, and then we'll compare our books and see who's better or something, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It seems very childish, and I think it's just like a way of trying to challenge someone to a contest you know you're going to win as an act of like dominance. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Kyle is like Andrew Tate or that fool who looks like Gonzo, but he is sexist. And again, that's apparent in his behavior, and we'll get to that. At some point in this whole thing, Kyle claims that anybody who isn't down to use AI in their work is comparable to Dolores Umbridge, which to my understanding is a character from Harry Potter. Now, I haven't read the books, and I watched 2 of the movies. I don't even think I watched the right 2 movies, so I don't know who that is or whatever, but he's like quoting, like, I guess she at some point says that progress for progress sakes must be discouraged, and I assume he's taking that out of context and saying that anybody who's anti-AI is anti-progress. But this isn't progress in a direction a lot of people want to go. Like when AI people like, you're going to be left behind, I'm always like, yeah, I don't really want to go where you're going. Going off script again. I remember when I was like a little kid, I would watch Just for Laughs, which is like a Canadian comedy festival, but they would play the sets on cable TV a lot, and I'd watch that all the time when I was little. I remember this dude, it was probably like in the early aughts, was like talking about how we're getting too reliant on technology and we're over consuming all this junk, and one day we're just going to evolve into a giant ass with fingers. And that's kind of what I feel like AI accelerationists are trying to get humanity to go to. Just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should. Like, what is the purpose of this? Because we're not saving time. You know what I mean? Like, that's time. I want to spend that time doing the thing. Efficiency is great, but there's just some things that I think are worth doing yourself, or they're not worth doing at all. If you think the time it takes to like learn how to play an instrument and write a song or write a novel or paint a painting is too much, I just don't think you think that's worth doing, and that's fine. You just don't have to do it. Art is optional. For some, the line between art and content is really blurry. For some, it's indistinguishable, and these people just want more content. They want more slop. Like, there's never an end to more. They kind of remind me of this. I never watched him, but I would see him on TikTok sometimes. This dude named like Soups or whatever, and one time he said, I don't care how bad the animation is, I want a new season of Invincible every 6 months. I was like, bro, like, just wait. There's so much other stuff you could watch in the meantime. It feels like we go from the little leagues to the majors when best-selling authors start to chime in the conversation. I'd call it a kerfuffle, but I've been told I need to curse less in these videos. Victoria Aveyard, author of The Red Queen, which is the book that Powerless rips off, chimes in, and she's, again, trying to explain to this dude, like, AI is not doing the writing, and some of us want to write, and AI couldn't do what we do. And Kyle just doesn't believe that, doesn't agree. And I guess part of his belief is that, like, you know, producing music in a digital audio workspace on your laptop or drawing something in Procreate is the same as using AI, which it isn't. Like, you still need skills. Like, you need to understand music to produce. You need to be able to draw digitally. Still need to be able to do the thing in order to use those tools. AI, you don't need skills to use it. And if you think that's a selling point, y'all lazy. I don't want ChatGPT to write jokes for me or my scripts or whatever else I might be working on. I want to do that stuff because I want to do that stuff. I like doing stuff like this. For me, the writing process is how I process. What's that quote? I think they give it to Joan Didion. I don't know what I'm thinking until I write it or something like that. That's me. I don't want someone to take that away from me, let alone Skynet. So eventually Annie Ann's husband chimes in.
To the guy who stole my wife's book idea, then had ChatGPT write it, and then double down and claim he's a real author while shitting on her and her friends. Could you stop pissing off my wife this early in the morning? I'm really just trying to enjoy my cup of coffee.
And I get that he's being all like, dude, knock it off. Doesn't sound like he's defending his wife, or this is coming from a place of care. It sounds a little bit more like you are pissing off my wife and now it's annoying me. I don't know why, but I'm just trying to enjoy my cup of coffee, like set something off inside of me. I was like, I know the rage I feel is displaced and unnecessary, so whatever. I think what irks me so much about the husband's interjection is that this does become like two dudes talking over women. I still think that this dude's trying to be like funny or like keep it casual, but the message is still, your behavior is pissing off my wife and that annoys me. So now it's my problem. And that's just not like the language I think a loving partner would use. But again, he might just be trying to be funny. I don't really know. It's a short video. He's probably trying to be funny or keep it lighthearted. And I doubt he's trying to be the hero or whatever. So when another man finally chimes in, Kyle apologizes almost immediately, folds like origami, crumbles like a house of cards.
Hey, yeah, so I want to genuinely apologize to you and your wife. I realized that I posted all 4 of those videos yesterday before I gave them time for people to be able to respond to me. And since people have responded, clearly I have upset a lot of people, and that was never my intention. I was going to post the email I sent your wife to try and defend myself, but I thought if I did that, my apology wouldn't be genuine. I think your wife and your story that you came up with is a great idea. I think it's going to be a fantastic book. And when your wife writes it, I will be first in line to buy it and give it to my girlfriend, and I genuinely apologize.
But he's apologizing to the man who was uninvolved in the situation up until this point. In this apology video, Kyle says the word genuine like 3 times. I don't think it's a genuine apology. I think he's just backpedaling, you know? But you can't go backwards on a bicycle, bro. You can only move forward. You can only do better. He doesn't apologize to Annie Ann directly. Doesn't apologize to all the women that he's been mad disrespectful to. Just this dude. Like at one point he says to Annie Ann, like, unless you read my book, your opinion means less than nothing to me. But then, you know, husband comes through. He's like, dude, stop. And he's like, you're absolutely right. I should definitely do that. My bad, big dog. I don't know. And Annie Ann calls him out on that. And she's like, I don't need my husband to save me. You know what I mean? I can handle myself. Fuck you.
So let's talk about this comment right here. That was not left on my page, but Kyle's page. And here's the thing. She's 100% correct, because I not only made, I think 4 to 5 videos talking about this yesterday, I stitched your videos, I commented back, and your response to me was, your opinion means less than nothing to me. Frankly, with the utmost disrespect, your apology means less than nothing to me. You're only apologizing because my husband got involved. And to be crystal clear, I can stand up for myself. You should have responded to me.
I think the last thing is the continuation of Kyle's apology tour, which is a very unconvincing performance. He talks about how bad his childhood was and he's become his parents because he's treating people the way his parents treated him and stuff.
I haven't read all the comments from the last 48 hours, but the ones that I realized hurt the most were rooted in the most truth. How I treated you was exactly how my parents treated me, and I haven't spoken to them in the last 2 years.
So I'm editing this video, right? And I'm watching these clips again as I'm editing, and it's just hitting me how much of like a guy thing this is to do, like such a toxic dude bro tactic. You've been called out on doing something wrong, and you get into this sob story about how rough you had it as a kid. I used to do this all the time back in my more toxic days, like my early 20s. You know, like I'd do something that was like hurtful or disrespectful to my girlfriend who's now my wife, and I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just like, you know, I'm just carrying all this pain from the fact that I was like abandoned as a child, and I grew up in this hostile, violent environment, and everybody I knew was a different color than me, and they all made fun of me for being just like boo-hoo. Like, just say you're sorry and do better. It's not that hard. We don't need all of whatever this is.
Everything after the point of my girlfriend telling me that you were an author and me not going directly to you and talking about it was wrong. I'm not going to defend any action that from after that point. Everything after that point that I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. That was where I made the first mistake, and I made a lot of mistakes after that. When I said your opinion didn't matter to me, that was out of hurt, and I'm sorry. Your opinion didn't matter to me, and that's why I was frustrated, and I said it. I truly am sorry. I was trying to impose my will on you just like my parents used to, and that's not something I ever want to do to someone, and I hope that you can see that I can learn from this.
You know, I'm sure his childhood was tough. You know, I don't want to like dismiss that, but at the same time, as a man who also had a rough childhood, that is no excuse for shitty behavior. We can't skirt accountability for being weird, disrespectful, maybe even harmful or hurtful just because our childhoods weren't great. You know what I mean? And at the end of it, I'm still really confused because I've heard of people stealing ideas before, but they don't usually go like, hey, I did this for you. Oh, you don't like it? You. You're a villain from a wizard book written by a different villain. I'm so confused. My main takeaway from this whole thing is just that this dude completely disregarded whatever women would say to him because he just thought he knew better. Even though he's not a writer. He doesn't write. He doesn't craft stories. But he's like, well, I know better, and I know that this tool is the way to do it and all this stuff. And it is essentially mansplaining, but in a very long, drawn-out sort of way. Just so confused as to like what was the plan, or what was the initial idea of just like, I'm going to take away this opportunity and do it for you. It is mansplaining. That's basically it. It's weird. Anyways, like within the book space, within the writer space, within the arts, there have always been and there will always be people who want to be the thing or want to claim they are the thing but do not want to do the thing. It's a little like Milo Winter. Not really, but that's just what comes to mind. And I think that Kyle is just another one of those where he's like, oh, I'm a writer, and look how fast I can write. I'm better than all of y'all because of how fast I am. Look at how fast I go. I'm dominating this field. But it's clear he does not care about writing. He does not care about storytelling. He didn't even come up with his own idea. That's how not creative, not an artist he is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is all very strange. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this situation in the comments. I think that's pretty much it from me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Patreon.com/DFred if you want to support the channel, get some bonus content. Join the private Discord server. Kodashfi.com/DFred if you want to support the channel one time, but you don't want another monthly subscription to manage. Or you could just like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. One quick note though, if you do subscribe, just know I talk about things other than Booktok things. And so if that is a turnoff, then don't worry about it. You know, just thanks for watching this video. My name is D, and don't fret. I'll see you next time. Peace.